Every time you abandon your truth for the comfort of others, you give away a piece of your power. Welcome back to Limitless and Midlife. I am your host, Sally Arkell-Boles, and I am so glad that you are here because today's episode is a big one. It's bold, it's heartfelt, and it's going to speak to the women in you who's done pretending she's okay living small. We are going to be talking today about owning your power in midlife and what that actually looks like, what gets in the way, and how to start taking your power back piece by piece with grace, fire, and intention. And this episode is for you if you've ever looked around at your life, your career, your relationships, your body, your goals, and thought, why do I feel like there's so much more inside of me, but can't quite reach it? You're not alone in that, and you're definitely not crazy for wanting more. The midlife shift, when enough isn't enough. We're going to start there because we really want to talk about how that midlife shift is changing for us and what we get to do. Because when enough isn't enough, then what are we going to do? Let's start there. So there's a quiet moment that happens for so many of us in midlife. Sometimes it's subtle, a dull ache, a sense of restlessness. Other times it comes crashing in like a breakdown or a life shakeup. For me, it was when I actually took back my voice and took back the ownership of the value that I had, and I wasn't willing to accept the position that I was in my corporate career, and I made the decision to leave. And I realized I hadn't been living in my full power. I was playing small to stay safe, to be liked, and to avoid rocking the boat. And as a matter of fact, was fearful of what that option would look like if I decided to leave a career that was very lucrative and abundant for me and go to the unknown. But the problem with playing small is it never satisfies your soul because deep down, you know you're here for more. And that's what I needed to claim. When I left my corporate career, I had a multiple six-figure income. And it was a big decision. But the moment I saw that the company did not value me, the moment I actually recognized where the core issue was with inside of me, it allowed me to take the action, and it opened up doors so quickly for me that it was incredible. And I want the same for you. So let's talk about the many faces of playing small. Because playing small doesn't always look like hiding. Sometimes it's subtle. Sometimes it's socially accepted. But it shows up everywhere. So here are a few ways it might be showing up in your life. And make sure you're commenting below if this is something that is resonating for you, because I want others to know that they are not alone in this journey. So here's some of the ways it could show up. You keep delaying your dream because the timing is not right. Have you been there? I know I have, where you just make up an excuse as to why the time is not right to make that move at this point in time. But really, there's an undertone to that, isn't there? Another one is when you tone down your voice in meetings so you don't seem like you're too much to handle, that you've got too many opinions, that your opinions don't matter. But people want you to play smaller within that environment. And I've been there too. I felt like I had a lot of um, senior leaders that were male in my organization that were trying to hold women back in advancing within their careers. And to think that today that still happens, it does. And you may be one of them too. You say yes when you mean no because you don't want to upset anyone. A little bit of people pleasing. You stay in a job, a friendship, or a dynamic that doesn't reflect your worth. So now, which ones of these really relate to you? Because I want you to pause here and think of those. What are the ones that you are experiencing or have experienced? And take a deep breath. You're not doing anything wrong. You've just been conditioned to believe that shrinking equals safety. But the truth is, shrinking just keeps you small. It keeps you resentful. It keeps you quiet in rooms where your voice was meant to lead and be heard. So when we're talking about power, what power actually is and isn't is something that I think we should have a discussion about. Because when I talk about owning your power, I don't mean bossy energy. I don't mean bulldozing others or walking around with ego. Power isn't about control. It's not about dominating a room. It's definitely not about having it all figured out. Power is presence. Power is presence. It's knowing who you are and not needing to explain or apologize for it. It's the ability to say yes and no from alignment, not from fear. It's trusting your gut. It's living your truth, even when it's messy or inconvenient. Owning your power is not a performance. It's a homecoming. I want you to think about that. Have you truly been owning your power, or have you been giving it away? Why we give away our power? Why do we do that? So let's get honest. Why do so many of us, especially women, give our power away? Because we've been taught to. From a young age, we were told, be nice, not necessarily honest. Be helpful, not powerful. Be quiet, not destructive or disruptive or destructive. Be small, not bold. We have internalized this, and suddenly we're adult women second guessing our every move. Did I say too much? Should I have stayed quiet? Was that selfish? Maybe I'm not cut out for this. Does this sound familiar? But here's the truth. Every time you abandon your truth for the comfort of others, you give away a piece of your power. Yes, you give away a piece of your power. So let's learn how we can take back that power, because I'm going to share with you now. Get out that pen and paper. I always suggest that you do that. If you're like me and you've got journal books coming out, you got shelves and shelves of journals. I have shelves of journals and I love journaling. But I want to teach you about 4 ways that you can reclaim your power now. So get that notebook out. So let's get practical. I want to give you some real tools, because this isn't just a pep talk. It's a wake-up call with a path forward. So number 1, I want you to think of this. Write it down. Say the thing you're scared to say. say the thing you're scared to say. Whether it's in a conversation, a caption, or a journal, start saying the truth you've been avoiding. Your voice is sacred, so I want you to use it. Now, when I do that, oftentimes, I don't know about you, but this is what happens for me. I always go to bed thinking about what I would like to create or what I would like to attract into my life. And so I always think about those things, but I oftentimes wake up when I'm in theta, and it's usually around 2 or 3 or 4 in the morning. And all of a sudden, all these thoughts start coming to my mind, and I want to clear my mind. So I'm like, okay, I'm getting some downloads here. I need to go and just get my journal out. So I'll go into another room, I'll get my journal out, and I just start writing. And it's incredible what comes forward about my fears, my worries, and my doubts. And then as soon as those are on the paper, the answers come to me with the solutions and the excitement and the abundance and the joy and the attraction energy and just the frequency changes and shifts so dramatically. And so it has really made a big difference in my life when I actually sit down and having that writing, that journal that I'm allowed to put in my journal, the things that are keeping me up or stopping me from really being in my zone to be able to attract everything that I want in my life. And then by the time I'm finished that journaling, I am so stoked and excited about that shift that I've been able to make from being in that fear to moving into the abundance mindset. So I just want to throw that in because that's one way that I do it. But if there's something that you do that you shift from that one place to the next, from that scaring to getting forward, I want you to put it in the comments because we want to share this in the community. We want women to be able to understand that there's not just one way, there's many ways. And I could go into all the ways right now, but I want to know what you're currently doing and whether this is something that you've ever done or thought of doing in your journal. The second thing I want you to write down is make one decision without asking anyone for permission. Is that hard for you? It's hard for a lot of people because we've been trained from an early stage to always seek approval, right? To seek someone else's opinion. And so I want you to think of it this way. Whether it's big or small, I want you to book that trip. I want you to raise your prices if you're an entrepreneur or selling something. I want you to change your mind. It's okay to change your mind. And I want you to decide something without explaining why you're making that decision. Because you have the power to make your own decisions, to choose your own prices, to change your mind on how you used to think and to how you think today, and to book that trip, whether it's a solo trip or a trip that you've been dying to go on for so long, but held yourself back for it because you were playing small, right? So I want you to really think about that. And I want you to make sure that you are stepping into the opportunity to make that decision, but without asking for permission. You're a grown woman. You don't need to ask for permission. You get to choose. Okay. Now, number 3. Oh, and I also want you to put in there what you do. Number 3, stop editing yourself for the sake of comfort. Now, what does that mean? If you're constantly filtering your truth to avoid discomfort, ask yourself, whose approval am I trying to earn? Whose approval am I trying to earn? So when you're constantly filtering your truth to avoid discomfort, why is that? Why is it that you are choosing to do that when you can just choose your truth and move forward? So you don't need to edit yourself for the sake of comfort. You need to speak your voice and you need to be present in who you are. The fourth one is reconnect with what you want. Now, this one's a loaded one for me because so many of my clients and so many of the people that I have worked with, when they first come to me, one of the first things I ask them is, what do you want? What's your big goal in life? What do you want to achieve in the next 6 months, year, whatever it might be? And they really have a hard time really talking to me about what it is because they're, number one, thinking I might judge them. Number two, they have fears, worries, and doubts, and they don't see how big the possibility could be for themselves to create a life that they've always desired, but it's so hidden back in them and they're so afraid to move forward in it that they don't feel comfortable at the beginning to even bring it forward for fear of being judged. So I want you to really open up that door because in today's society, anything is possible. And I want you to know that that is something that's available for you too. So when I say reconnect with what you want, not what's expected, and definitely not what's safe. So I want to ask you, if you stopped playing small today, what would you do differently this week? If you stopped playing small today, what would you do differently this week? Let that last question sit with you. Journal on it, voice note on it, and then act on it, even if it's a baby step. And again, let's go in the comments and fill the comments up with what it is that you're going to do. And once you've done it, how amazing it felt. Because it only takes that baby step, right? It only takes that baby step, that one decision that you're going to take to move forward. And now let's talk a little bit more about fear. You might be thinking, but what if people don't like this new version of me? What if I lose friends? What if I make a mistake? Well, let me flip that on you. What if your power is exactly what someone else needs permission to step into theirs? What if your truth is the thing that really sets you free? And what if the most magnetic, abundant, soul aligned version of your life is only available on the other side of playing small? Think about that. What if the most magnetic, abundant, soul aligned version of your life is only available on the other side of playing small? Because it is. It absolutely is. It's yours to claim it. So, midlife truly isn't a crisis. I've said this before. To me, it's a time for expansion. And in this case, it's a reclamation of who you truly are. Let's get back to the core of your being, to who you are and what you're able to really drive forward when you own your power once again. And start with one small step, because that one small step is going to make you take another one and another one and another one, because that's the momentum that you'll start to build up when you stop playing small and you start really owning who you truly are and step back into your power. So I want to share with you again, if you're ready to take the next step, but you need a little bit of clarity and structure, I've created the most amazing gift for you. And it's my free No More Excuses Midlife Audit. And it's only available for the first 6 episodes of this podcast. And this is number 5. So make sure that you get it in before the end of number 6. And it's really designed for you, because inside you're going to get the ability to identify what's keeping you stuck, get clear on what you actually want, and you're going to be able to map out a simple aligned next move. And so the link is in the show note, and it's actually my name. So you can see my name on the screen, Sally Arkell-Boles. And it is actually going to be such an amazing opportunity for you just to be able to see the 10 key elements that I believe are going to help you to create a limitless midlife. And rate yourself on a scale of that 1 to 10. So you're going to say, for my relationships, I rate a 7. And then you're going to talk to me and tell me a little bit about what it would feel like to be at that 10. We're going to go through 10 different things. And so at the end, what you're going to have is a real clear picture of where you're stuck, where you may be playing small, where you would really, like to thrive even more, and areas that, you know what, I really need to make a big shift on. So I want you to take advantage of this because it's only free for the first 6 weeks. And my calendar's starting to fill up, but I really want to be able to help you to be able to just uncover what are the things that are holding you back. Okay, so pop in there. It's free for you to attend. I'll be on Zoom with you one-on-one. So it'll be really fun for us just to have that one-on-one conversation so that I can help you to uncover where those areas are, where you're exceeding and having a fabulous opportunity in your life, and where there's some things that you just may want to shift in the near future. Okay, so hop in there and sign up for that because whether you're speaking up, investing in yourself, setting a boundary, or just saying no with love, do it from your power. Take one small but bold action this week that puts you back in the center of your story. This is your challenge for the week. You don't have to be fearless. You just have to be honest with yourself. I want you to own your power, stop waiting, and remember, you were never meant to play small. And don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss next week's episode, which is going to be about midlife and money shifting from scarcity to abundance, which is going to be really packed full because there's a lot of people that are at this stage of life that are really understanding that, you know what? I think I want more in life. I think I want to be able to experience more. And I would love to know how to have more abundance in my life. And abundance doesn't just mean financial. It means financial, but there's so much more. So this next episode is going to be really, really engaging. So I hope that you can join me on there. And I just really appreciate you subscribing and popping in on a weekly basis. Even if you can't be on here as soon as it launches, make sure that you're joining in so that you can take advantage of really creating that limitless midlife that you deserve. And if there's any friends that you know that you think would really enjoy this podcast as well, please remember to ask them to come and check us out. That's all I'm asking. Come and check me out. I want you to think about this as you're sharing, as you're subscribing and downloading your free midlife audit, that it's your time. It really is your time. So let's rise together because time is ticking. And that's why I call it the no more excuses. We've used excuses for how many years now? Now we need to take control. We need to gain our power and gain back the life that we truly want to live and have fun doing it and have joy and be surrounded by other women just like you that are wanting to do the same thing. How incredible would that feel? I'm Sally Arkell-Boles, and thank you so much for being here to create a limitless midlife. I'll see you next week.